126 miles per hour. July 3, 1938. A British locomotive named Mallard screaming down a hill in Lincolnshire, the dynamometer needle spiking, the big end bearing melting, the world record. Except Germany says their locomotive was faster on level track 2 years earlier. In America? America whispers about speeds that were never officially recorded, locomotives that vanished into scrap metal before anyone could prove what they really did. 87 years later, railway historians still argue. Engineers pull out slide rules. Enthusiasts dissect paper rolls frame by frame. National pride burns hotter than boiler fires. Because somewhere between the measurements and the myths, the truth got lost. Mallard was 4 months old. Driver Joseph Duddington knew the locomotive could go fast. The question was how fast. The London and Northeastern Railway wanted to test new brakes, but everyone on that train understood what was really happening. This was an attempt on the German speed record, 124.5 miles per hour, set by DRG Class 05 number 002 in May 1936. 7 coaches, 240 tons. A dynamometer car recorded every detail on a paper roll that advanced 24 inches per mile, the most precise measurement equipment available in 1938. Mallard left Grantham at 24 miles per hour due to track work. Then the climb began, a 1 in 200 gradient. The locomotive fought for every mile per hour up to Stoke Summit, 75 miles per hour at the top. Then gravity took over. For 5 seconds, Mallard held 125 miles per hour. The needle steady, the locomotive thundering. Then, for 1 second, the paper roll showed 126. Inside the locomotive, something was wrong. The smell of aniseed oil. A warning device in the middle big end bearing had burst. The metal was overheating. Duddington eased back. The speed dropped 70 to 75 miles per hour for the rest of the run. By Peterborough, the bearing was failing. Mallard limped off the train for emergency repairs, but the record was set, 126 miles per hour, the fastest steam locomotive ever measured. Sir Nigel Gresley, Mallard's designer, refused to claim 126. Too brief, he said. 1 second, maybe 180 feet of track. He accepted 125 miles per hour as the sustained maximum. That was the figure published in 1938. 10 years later, in 1948, someone bolted commemorative plaques to Mallard's sides, 126 miles per hour. That became the official figure, the number in Guinness World Records, the speed that steam fans quote when they argue. Except even that remains disputed. Years later, a researcher re-examined the original paper roll preserved at the National Railway Museum in York. He suggested the true maximum may have been closer to 124 miles per hour, accounting for irregularities in how the paper advanced through the recording mechanism. That analysis remains debated among railway historians. 124, 125, 126. The differences are marginal, but they matter to those. There are people who argue about records, and then there is the other question. Does a downhill run count the same as level track? DRG Class 05 number 002, streamlined, painted deep red, with 7-foot 6-inch driving wheels, the largest driving wheels ever fitted to a German steam locomotive. Built by Borsig Works in Berlin on May 11, 1936. 4 coaches, 197 tons, running from Berlin to Hamburg on flat track with no downhill assistance. The dynamometer recorded 200.4 kilometers per hour, which is 124.5 miles per hour. World record. But the measurement equipment was less precise than what Mallard would use 2 years later. Lower resolution meant more room for error. The paper roll advanced more slowly, capturing less detail. The original paper roll is gone, lost during World War II. No modern re-examination is possible, and there is no way to verify the measurement with current analysis techniques. The locomotive performed the run with senior government officials aboard, a clear piece of propaganda, proof that German engineering could match the British. The Reich wanted speed records and symbols of technological supremacy. After the war, rumors circulated that British troops supposedly found documents showing that 05002 had beaten Mallard's record in 1939. Those documents were never published because of the war. Railway enthusiasts still mention it, but no documents ever appeared. No evidence has surfaced in 80 years. Most historians dismiss it as legend, so the comparison sits in limbo. Mallard was a heavier train, running downhill with more precise equipment, and it suffered a big end failure. DRG 05002 was a lighter train on level track, using less precise equipment, and its original data was lost. Which was actually faster? It is impossible to say. The arguments continue. Pennsylvania Railroad T1, 52 locomotives built between 1942 and 1946, a 4444 duplex drive with Raymond Loewy streamlining, designed to haul passenger trains at 100 miles per hour. The poppet valves kept failing. Franklin Railway Supply Company built the valves. Franklin rated the valves for sustained high speed running around 100 miles per hour, with only short bursts at higher speeds. But locomotives were returning with cracked valves, failed metal, and broken components. Something was wrong. Franklin could not figure out why. The valves worked in testing, worked on the dynamometer, but in service they failed unpredictably. In later interviews, Franklin engineers said that a company observer had been sent to ride the route between Crestline, Ohio and Fort Wayne, Indiana, a high-speed section with long straights and few restrictions. Using a stopwatch to time the trains between mileposts, the observer reportedly documented speeds well above 120 miles per hour, perhaps even into the 130s according to some recollections. The engineers were making up time on delayed schedules, opening the throttle, pushing the locomotives beyond their design limits, not knowing how fast they were actually going. The cab speedometer stopped at 120 miles per hour. Beyond that, the needle hit the stop, and there was no indication of actual speed. Franklin management faced a choice. Tell the Pennsylvania Railroad their engineers were operating locomotives far beyond guaranteed limits, or quietly try to develop stronger valves that could survive the abuse. They chose the latter. They tested new materials and redesigned components, but nothing worked. The valves could not handle sustained operation above 130 miles per hour. The observer's log was never preserved. No dynamometer car, no official measurement, just stopwatch timing if the accounts are accurate, and stories from engineers who are long dead. By 1956, all 52 T1 locomotives were scrapped, not one survived. The fastest speeds ever claimed for an American steam locomotive vanished into the cutting torches. No evidence remained. Today, a group called the T1 Trust is building a new T1 from blueprints, Pennsylvania Railroad number 5550, the 53rd locomotive of the class. Construction started in 2013. As of 2025, the locomotive is roughly 53% complete. They plan to explore the locomotive's high-speed potential, with a possible future attempt to challenge the world steam speed record and to settle the question once and for all. But even if they succeed, it proves nothing about the original 52, lost to history and lost to the scrapper. Steam speed records sit in a strange place, between national pride, engineering claims, measurement limitations, missing data, and competing standards. Mallard holds the official record at 126 miles per hour, but that figure itself remains disputed by some researchers who argue it should be 124. DRG 05002 hit 124.5 miles per hour on level track with a lighter train, but the original data is gone, lost for 80 years. The Pennsylvania Railroad T1 may have reached speeds well into the 130s, maybe higher, but nobody measured it officially. The claims remain anecdotal based on interviews conducted decades after the fact. There is no universally recognized fastest steam locomotive, no agreed-upon standard, and no fair way to compare downhill runs against level track, heavy trains against light trains, precise equipment against rough estimates, or propaganda runs against engineering tests, which means the arguments never end. Railway forums debate the same points year after year. Museum curators field the same questions. Engineers with calculators run the same numbers. Enthusiasts who have spent 50 years studying paper rolls still disagree on what the marks mean. The records exist, the locomotives are gone, and the truth is somewhere between the measurements and the legends, lost to time, national pride, and the limitations of 1930s technology. 126 miles per hour, or 124. or 142? Steam fans refuse to agree. They probably never will.